My husband and I went to San Diego just recently, and we decided to do some kayaking. And we were in a double kayak, which I think equals divorce in most cases, right? When you're like trying to like share, right? I'm like, faster, slower, turn. And it was so interesting because I was loving it. I'm like, you can see the fish, you can see the water. This is great. I can't see behind me, but my husband literally is ready to puke. He's like, can we stop? And I was like, oh, sure. And he's like, nope, that's worse. That's worse, keep going. When you think about the cruise that you're on, sometimes it's great for you, but it's not for others. And we're gonna talk about how to analyze that culture today and how you can kind of be like, you like this? Do you hate that? Oh, you hate this, okay. All right, what? Why do you hate this? We're gonna go back and actually dig into what they like and don't like and look at your cruise versus theirs. Now, I told you I would tell you some stories, and I wanna share a story about a day that was not so great. A day that was not so great, because oftentimes when I talk to teams about culture, they think, oh, that's cute, but you don't really know. You don't know what we deal with on a daily basis. So I want to share a story that hopefully you will think, okay, A, she gets it. And then I want to follow that up with a strategy that you can take with you, that you can put in your pocket for tomorrow, hopefully not at 2 a.m., but more like 2 p.m. The story goes like this. It was a Tuesday, I'll never forget. It was July 11th, which is also my wedding anniversary. So I remember that too. And on this particular day, I led a team of about 100 people in 5 locations. For whatever reason, on this particular Tuesday, I was in the picture to your left. I was in this hospital that I was working in. It's about a 900-bed hospital, so there's about 6,000 people in this building at a time, just to give you a sense. That's my entire hometown. We had like 2 stoplights and a Walmart. So when I think about telling my parents where I work, I'm like, I kind of work like where our whole town is. Like all of us are in this building. And on this particular day, thankfully, I was there because about halfway through the morning, we had a patient use the restroom, and you know those silver cylinders that you push down to flush the toilet? They push that down, and do you know what happens when it comes off in your hand? It sprays a lot of water, like hundreds, if not thousands of gallons of water. And then you run around like a chicken because the water shut-off is in a closet that's locked, and you're literally calling maintenance of like, how fast can you run in this huge hospital? Because we have water everywhere. My pager, because I carried a pager, it was going off, and people were like, where's the water? I'm like, we are the water. We are the water. I spent most of the day cleaning it up and then redirecting people like, don't go here, come here. Just don't go over there, come on over here. And by the time I got home, I was like exhausted. Now, a quick side story. My husband and I had recently decided to make joy our job. We were gonna make joy our job, and we were gonna start to do things that light us up, that we wanted to do for fun. And we were also gonna start making some changes to our lives around, like, are we in the right spot? So we decided we were gonna move back to Iowa, because we were living in Wisconsin, but not yet. We figured we'll sell our house, we'll move into a rental house for a few months, get our life in order, and then move back to Iowa. So on this night, we had sold our house. On this day, it was our 3rd day in our new rental. So I get home from work, and I'm like, hi, and my husband's like, happy anniversary. Welcome to the boxes, because we still had boxes everywhere. And he's like, what do you want to do tonight? And I said, you know, I just want to move all of these boxes that are, now I can see my kids playing hide and seek, and there's going to be an injury with all these boxes tipping over. I want to move all of these boxes to the 3rd floor and get them out of my way. I'll deal with them a different day. And he's like, are you sure? Didn't you just clean up water all day? Now you want to move boxes? And I said, yep, because it's gonna make me feel more in control. Like, I just need something to like go well. So we spent the evening moving boxes up to that 3rd floor, and I went to bed thinking, no more floods tomorrow. No more floods tomorrow. Now in Milwaukee specifically, that's where I lived, they do not have thunderstorms like we get thunderstorms in Iowa. Thunderstorms in Iowa are kind of big. Whereas in Milwaukee, it doesn't happen. On this particular night, about 3 a.m., we had lightning strike our house, the rental house that we had been in for 3 days. And when lightning strikes the structure that you're in, it sounds like a bomb has just gone off. And so you wake up and you're like, whoa. And you look out the window thinking like, I hope everyone's okay out there. Gosh, that was loud. And then you get ready to lay back down in your bed and you think, you know, maybe we should just check. Like, should we check the electricity? And maybe it was the boxes on the 3rd floor. So I go upstairs to check boxes. My husband goes to the basement to check the breaker because our overhead light was not working, but our night light in the hallway was. He gets to the basement, flips the breaker, and all of our outlets start buzzing like a cartoon, like zzz. Thankfully, I call him on the phone. I'm like, hey, can you shut that off? Something's not right with the electricity. So he comes back up to the main floor, and we're like debating what we do because nothing's happening at this point. We decide to put our kids in the van in the pouring rain. And as we're waiting, a couple fire trucks pull up. And this angry fireman at like 3 a.m. walks up to my husband on the sidewalk, and I could almost see him like from my van window going like, why am I here? There's nothing going on. So he goes inside, I think just to appease us. And a couple more fire trucks pull up behind my black minivan. And we just sit and wait. My kids were fairly little at the time. And so we're waiting. All of a sudden, they start pulling hoses and axes and ladders off these trucks. And my son kind of snaps me out of it because he's like, Mom, this was so cool. And I'm like, oh, you should not remember this. And so I drive away. I had one aunt that lived in Milwaukee, so we went to her house. My husband stayed with the house and then proceeded to not answer the phone. Like, I just wanted to know what was going on. And I'm like, please, like, what's going on? Are we having a fire? Are we not? And a couple of hours pass, and I finally think, I'm taking these kids to daycare as if nothing happened, and I'm going back to the house. I get back over to the house. I immediately pull up, and I see debris in the yard, like everywhere, like windows and glass and huge boards and beams and all the things that I'm like, oh, this was a fire. This was a fire. My husband meets me at the door, and he immediately looks at me, and he goes, you know how we moved all of your boxes upstairs last night? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. And it was like registered. I'm like, oh, like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. Yeah. The fire had been on the 3rd floor. It was a 100-year-old house, so it just took it up in flames and went. Now, here's the interesting thing about that story. I don't tell it to make you sad. I actually tell it to you because I'm going to share a strategy with you that I think that will help you during your fiery moments, right? The things that we cannot control in our lives. And the strategy goes like this, because I remember standing there thinking, okay, this is what we got to do. The strategy is this. This is the circle of control. If you've seen it before, you're going to be an expert. Okay, you're going to help those around you. If you have not, this is one of my absolute most favorite tools in the whole wide world. It goes like this. That center circle, those are the only things in the whole world that we can control, and that's what you say, think, and do. What you say, think, and do. The second circle is the circle of influence, and those are the things that we wish we could control. Like to my kids, I got a naughty note on the first day of middle school, and it was that we were eating our Jolly Rancher too loud in class. And I said to my son, like, hi, why are we eating Jolly Ranchers loud in class? And he's like, obviously she has a sensitivity. And I said, obviously, right? Like, I just wish that I could tell my 12-year-old, hi, right? Like, we don't need to do that. And that he would actually listen. Things like our productivity, we look at our coworkers and think, just do the thing. Just do the thing. If you do the thing, we'll be done, right? Even our commitments, things that we're like, well, I got this thing on Saturday, and then I got to go with, my family over here. They're all of the things that we have some control over, some influence, but we do not have full and complete control. The third is really the circle of concern. Those are things that I like to say, they're on your radar, right? Like, you need to know that they exist, but good luck making any headway trying to control them. Traffic, weather, sports matches, court case. Right? Someone might say, well, I could change like government policy. Absolutely you could. You could pull that right into your center circle and you would attack that head on. When I think about that moment where I was standing there looking at this house thinking, oh, it's gone, like it's kind of gone. I remembered this circle and I thought, okay, how are we going to happen to it? What am I thinking and doing and saying after today? Because obviously I wasn't going to live there anymore. Now, if you would have asked my kids, up until a couple of years ago, like 2 years later, they would have said, we love camping. Love it. It's our favorite. But what you wouldn't have known was that it was actually apartment camping. We told our kids, guys, we're going to camp in an apartment with almost no furniture. And it is going to be so fun. And it was probably the best 4 months of our lives because there was nothing to clean. There was nothing to organize, right? We were doing bowling and all sorts of things in this empty room that you could not do on your mother's nice furniture, right? All the things. The one thing, though, is that when I think about how does this relate to work? How does this translate onto your team? I give this to every new team member and I say, welcome to the team. You have all the power. You have all the power. There are going to be things that don't go your way, things that you don't like, things that annoy you. There's going to be people you don't like, people that annoy you. But in that moment, I want you to think about the power that you hold on how that interaction is going to go. One woman walked into my office, she slams her fist on the desk and she goes, have you seen the new PTO policy? Now I'm a leader, I'd seen it, right? But I was like, I wanted to try on her glasses. So I said, I have, what do you think? She goes, where's that circle thing? That circle piece of paper that you have. And I pull it out like the circle of control. She goes, yeah, that. And I said, okay, well, what do you think of it? She goes, get me on that committee. Get me on that PTO policy committee. There's got to be a committee. Our organization was like 70,000 people. It took about 2 years, and I circled back. She had moved on to another team and was promoted, and I was like, are you still on that committee? And she goes, I am. And I said, has the policy changed? She goes, Lisa? And she gave me kind of that sheepish grin. She goes, it hasn't. But you know what you taught me? And I said, what? She goes, you taught me what I can keep and what I can get rid of. What I pull into my center circle and I'm really intentional about, and what I just push away. There will be times and moments in your teams and as a leader that you will say, do I want this or do I need to let it go? And the same holds true with your team. Part of being able to show up and not be bitter about the ice machine from 20 years ago that went away and you're sure that leadership is out to get you because they took it away, right? There will be moments when you have to make a decision. What do I want to be and how do I want to show up? What do I want to be and how do I want to show up? It's all in that very moment where you say to yourself, yeah, what do I do when I have a fire?